Okay, welcome everybody. In preparation for the Cactus Bowl down in Phoenix, want to get started with getting you familiar with our opponent, Arizona State, as far as who they are and what they do well and all that. Not a whole lot of familiarity with them, just because it's Pac-10, long ways away, East Coast West Coast matchup. Don't have any common opponents. I guess the closest common opponent would be Texas A&M from our bowl game last year to their opening game this year. Would be the closest common opponent that we can have some familiarity with. But with that said, I think it's kind of neat. That's what bowl games are kind of about, being able to get teams that don't have a whole lot of familiarity with each other and be able to go somewhere like Scottsdale is obviously awesome. Our guys will look at this and be excited about being there. They're now excited about being there, traveling. The facilities that we're going to be at, from the hotel to the Scottsdale area. I know the practice site that we go to is a first class one. Then going to Chase Field, where the Diamondbacks play, I know is going to be a great fan experience. I'm always curious on how the football field fits into a baseball stadium. That's always a little tight, but nonetheless, I know it's a great facility, and obviously the relationship with Ken Kendrick is important. So I know the fan experience is going to be good, and this bowl brings people. This will be an exciting game, an exciting matchup. A lot of people in that area are going to want to come to the game, whether they're Mountaineer fans or Sun Devil fans. There's still going to be a lot of people that are going to want to come. So expecting a full crowd in a great atmosphere at a quality place. So everything is going to be pretty neat, and our guys are pretty excited about it. Now Arizona State is a very dangerous team. They were preseason picked by a lot of people to be in the college football playoff. So they had a lot of people coming back. Quality coaching staff. Got a lot of respect for Todd Graham and where he's been. We've crossed paths a bunch. Always puts a good product on the field. All three phases are going to be coached up good. And they got great players. The recruiting base is as good as anywhere. You talk about the Scottsdale area, Phoenix area, that's something kids are pretty attracted to. So they've done a good job of recruiting junior colleges here lately, but also being able to recruit the West Coast, which has got a lot of good football players that they can pick from. Offensively, I know they lost their coordinator and everything, but my experiences with this is you can't change a whole lot. So we just got to base it based on what they do offensively on the film that we have. And to me, they're very up-tempo, efficient offense, very balanced. They're right down the middle as far as being the run-pass aspect of it. They're going to try to establish the run. Got a dual-threat quarterback. Number 2's can sling it around a little bit, but he's gritty, he's competitive. He'll do some things in the run game that we got to account for him. Great skill at wideout. DJ Foster is one of the best in the country, and they got to transfer the Lucian kid, the transfer guy from UCLA, I believe, is where he came in. That guy's made a bunch of plays as well. So, they're averaging 5.8 yards a play. They're moving the ball, not turning it over, but one and a half times a game. Run a lot of plays, so we're going to have to defend a lot of plays, and they're good on critical downs as well, which allows them to stay out there on the field and move the ball. So it'll be a challenge for us defensively. We've seen this kind of an offense before. Clearly in the Big 12, you're facing up-tempo offenses. You're facing balanced offenses with good wideouts. So our guys are used to that, and they know that if they relax against an opponent like this, then they're going to go right by you. So it'll be a good challenge for our defense. Offensively for us, Coach Graham's a defensive guy. They're talented on defense now, and they put pressure on you virtually every single time that you snap the football. They're as good as anybody in the country in forcing negative plays. Whether it's sacks, whether it's tackles for loss. Around 9 to 10 times a game, they're getting you behind the chains. So they're really good up front at creating the havoc they blitz. Looks to me on video, it seems like they blitz 100% of the time. It's as much as I've seen, and they're really good at it. So, they're great against the run. That's because they're big and they can tackle, and their backers can go lateral, but also fill gaps and get you behind the line of scrimmage. So blitzing to get you behind the chains is what they do. So they're as good as I've seen this year at getting you behind the chains. They give up some plays in the pass game because that's their mentality. When you blitz that much, when you put so much pressure and try to stop the run up front, they're going to give up plays in the pass game. That's just kind of how that works. It's a good matchup for them. Obviously, we're a run-first team and work hard on trying to get the ball in Wendell and Russell's hands. They take that away. We're going to have to be efficient and effective in the pass game, and we've been working hard on that here for the last couple of weeks. Special teams, their kicker and punter got great legs. It takes some pressure off their coverage units because teams are only getting returns about 25% of the time. So their kickoff guy booms it into the end zone a bunch. Same guy. He's the same guy as their place kicker, which he's good leg, is efficient, as good as I've seen this year. He does a nice job. Their punter booms it now, and their coverage gets down there. So guys, when they do get returns, they've given up a couple of returns, but it's just a matter of trying to get the return. They do a really good job of kicking that thing downfield. The return game. As you would expect with an offense that has skill, I mean, they got guys that can return as well. So they're averaging about 25 yards a kick return and about 10 yards a punt return. So they pressure the punt, as you can imagine, just like they do defensively. They pressure the punt more and effectively than anybody we've seen this year. Got one nicked against Kansas State, so that opened our eyes up a little bit from a up-front perspective where we don't see a lot of block looks from the punt return. That opened our kids' eyes a little bit, so it allowed us to focus on protecting first before we cover. But they do a nice job of scheming things up. Sean Slocum is their special teams coordinator. Got a lot of experience with him, and he's been doing this for a long, long time. So quality opponent, and our guys are going to be excited about the bowl experience and being out there, which is step one. We've had good preparation here the last couple of days. We'll continue that for 2 or 3 days, give them a little break over Christmas, and then fly out on the 29th and have a full game prep once we get out there as well. So we'll be schematically prepared for the game, and I think our guys will be in a good place when it comes to playing the game, and expect an exciting game out in Arizona. So with that, take some questions.
Dana, the key Patterson aspect, advantages that he knows your personnel, you know him. What's that do to things?
I don't know how much that helps either one of us, to be honest with you. I mean, Keith's a good coach and has good ideas, but if you start talking about coaching familiarity, then you'd have the same conversation in virtually every game that we play. There's just so much crossover in the Big 12. We deal with it every day. So, if he knows me and how I think, then I guess I know him and how he thinks. So he's calling it defensively. I'm calling it offensively. It should be a lot of fun.
Dana, how do you treat these practices ahead of the bowl game? And is there a certain number? I've heard 15. It's not really a limit. How many do you try to get in? How do you try to use them? Do you try to get younger guys?
Yeah, we'll get 15. That used to be a rule. It's not a rule. You can wear them out as much as you want to. We had a couple of developmental practices prior to finals. You got to kind of give them some time to study and go to school and all that. So we gave them about 4 days off to do that, which, we could have practiced late at night or however it's set up. Just my experience is just let them be students for a few days and focus on that. Then we had a couple more developmental practices, and then you run out of time and you got to start prepping for the game. So, for what it's worth, we got about 4 good developmental practices in where we didn't talk about Arizona State. We just treated it like a spring practice, and we went offense and defense. Let some of the older guys rest up because they're banged up 12 weeks into it. You get nicked up and tired, and let those guys rest up and heal and get them in the weight room and the training room. And then you gotta start focusing on the game. That's the most important thing. Yes, developmental practices are important, but prepping for the game to me is more important than that. So we started that, practice 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, and then we'll break, go down there, and then have another full week of game preparation once we get down there.
Any good practice at night?
Now, here's the problem with that. We talked about that. You can say, well, you need to practice later in the day, but there's bowl activities, that you got to go to. There's dinners, there's functions, that sort of thing. So if we let them sleep till, 11 or 12, which that sounds late, but it's, it's really not. Or if you let them sleep till, say, 9 or 10, which would be noon clock or whatever here, and you just lay around for 6 hours, or let them go to the pool for 6 hours, or walk around and buy a T-shirt or go get some lunch or whatever, and then you practice later in the day from, say, 6 to 9 or something, then your day's done. So, we'll be as late as we can. If we're not practicing, these kids are probably going to walk around and stay up till 12 or 1 when curfew is anyway, right? So that's kind of getting their body clock used to being up that late. I think that's overrated, to be honest with you.
Academically, have you got stuff back
No
yet?
report.
What about health-wise, the time off, let the kids?
Yeah, let them heal up. We just walked out of our meeting, and I got good news, nobody up in red. So nobody in green jerseys, nobody in red jerseys. So everybody's in a normal jersey. That means practice hard. So should be in good shape.
Dana, did you send paperwork to the draft advisory board for any of your underclassmen yet, or is that something you handle later?
Yeah, we started talking about some guys. It's funny. There's the NFL is making a big push for stay in school. They're encouraging kids to stay in school, and there's a lot of advantages for that. But they're getting record number of those papers back. So they're starting to put a limit on how many schools can, every kid wants to know their draft status. Well, I got bad news for a lot of these guys. They're not going to get drafted. So stay in school and play your tail off and enjoy your college experience and help your team win and get your degree, Carl Joseph is a prime example of this. Now, everybody says, well, what happens if I get hurt? Well, what happens if you get hurt? Well, there's still a commitment level to your team. Carl played 5 games or whatever it was and played his tail off and impacted those games that he played in, and the NFL clearly sees that he's a dominating player his senior year. He's his knee is going to be 100% healthy by April, which is going to allow guys to be able to practice them as soon as they can be able to practice them. And the kid just got his degree 3 days ago. He walked, he was over there in the Coliseum and gave him a big hug for accomplishing that. So he's leaving here accomplishing everything that he came here to accomplish. That to me is pretty important. So a lot of these guys, say, well, I've got the tools to do it. Well, that might be true, but there's a lot of people that are like that. Mentally, are you in the place where you can handle that? That's a tough question that they gotta accept. Well, we will submit a few. I can tell you what they're all gonna say, but we'll wait till they come back.
Dan,
seems like there's an inordinate number of quarterbacks transferring this year. Is there any theme or reason to that, and do you have interest in any, I don't want to know who, but in any of them?
Right, it's it's a good question, Bob. I don't know why. I think probably comes down to there's more quarterbacks playing now than there ever has been. So guys get their feet wet and they play and they got experience. So, they may not be the guy where they're at, but they got experience and they can go be the guy. They can choose where they go be the guy somewhere else, is my guess. So, every kid's got a different situation. We can obviously can't talk about the specifics on any of those guys, but I'm always interested in a good player, whether it's quarterback or running back or O-line or whatever it is.
Dan, your team's already played in a baseball stadium type of setting before. Any different sort of dynamic to that?
Now you got to kind of walk the field and see how it's where the walls are. But when you're between we'll just go up to the indoor and pretend it's the baseball stadium. So you have some close walls. If you sense yourself getting close to the line, you might want to brace yourself. But if it wasn't fit to play, then they obviously wouldn't do it. So I've been to Chase Field, and it's a great stadium. It's going to be a first-class fan experience. I can assure you that. From a player's point of view, the bowl game is, everybody wants to play in a 100,000 seat stadium and all that stuff, but from a bowl perspective, it's about the 4 or 5 days prior to the game more than anything. That's the bowl experience. And then you get tired of the bowl experience and you can't wait to play the game if you do it right. So, playing a parking lot, if it's on TV and it's the only game being played and it's the last game being played and it's on national TV and everybody from the West Coast to the East Coast is going to be playing, I would imagine that you get pretty fired up to play, regardless of where it's at. I'm always curious about the turf. That's what I'm always curious about. That was a nightmare in New York because of the weather. The new turf and the weather. They've assured us out in Phoenix that they do a good job with their turf, and I think they're going to close it in. So it'll be a sterile environment, which will be good.
Danny, you mentioned Carl Joseph. You had a number of players graduate. Just address that and then how those kids, some of them graduated early.
Yeah, well, a couple. Skylar, I know, did. I think that was about it. But yeah, there's having 17 of them. That's a pretty healthy number of guys that'll be playing. Some of them won't even be playing their last game, but most of them playing their last game with a degree is something we're proud of. That happens with older guys, obviously. We've been talking a lot about 4th and 5th year seniors. Well, 4th and 5th year seniors, if they maintain eligibility, I don't know how you wouldn't leave here with 2 degrees. As many opportunities as you have to take class. So a lot of those guys are in grad school right now. But yeah, that's something we're definitely proud of to have those guys with their degree. You pick a university to go play some ball and get a degree, and how many times have we talked about these seniors that it's a special class because so many of them came here, and there's even 3 or 4 that came in with those guys that aren't here anymore, but they have their degree. So a lot of the high percentage of those signing classes back 4 and 5 years ago are leaving here accomplishing what they want to accomplish. They just want to be able to leave with a win. So that's what we're kind of focusing on now.
With regard to curfews, as an assistant, now the head coach, has your philosophy changed, or have you seen things that worked one place and didn't work somewhere else?
At the bowl site? Yeah, you gotta have one, and we will, especially in a place like Scottsdale. In a bowl setting, there's so many people involved with it. We'll have some a couple of police officers with us. The Bowl site will have some police officers with them. You corral it and you tell them to do it the right way and have fun. You know, give them a couple of days to experience the the places that they allow you to go. So there's going to be some places that you can go. There's going to be some places that you can't go. You got to monitor it and let them have fun. But you know, night one's usually a little later, and then night two is a little earlier, and then night 3 and night 4 they won't leave the grounds. So have fun for a day or two, and then it's time to play.
Coach, one of the guys that graduated, a guy we've followed since high school, Shaq Petaway, how are you going to remember what he's contributed after bouncing back from the knee injury a couple years ago, and to what he's been able to do leading up to this last game?
Yeah, just resilient. Another kid that just walked across the stage 2 days ago with his degree. It's welcome to life. I mean, you're going to have setbacks in life, and he's a guy that just didn't give up, so he's going to be successful in life. Played early, played in the Orange Bowl. Barber's the same kid, played in the Orange Bowl, got hurt, had to sit out for a year, was determined to not give up, handled his job academically. So both of them graduated and came back, have been, very, very, very good players for us as seniors. So, it's refreshing to see guys like that do what they came here to do. And it's hard. I mean, what we ask them to do is hard. And there's guys that it's too hard for, and they end up just piecing out and going and never coming back. Watching those guys hang in there and finish what they wanted to accomplish is rewarding as a coach.
Dana, from just an emotional standpoint during the offseason, how important is it to end on a win? I mean, it makes the offseason much easier, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not do or die, but it's important. I mean, it puts a smile on your face. I want it obviously for the kids. I mean, these seniors have is one of their goals, and we can accomplish what our goals were 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. Finish with 8 wins. No West Virginia University Big 12 team has done that. And win a bowl game. So, that'd be something to be proud of. You finish 8-5 and win a good bowl game against a quality opponent. It puts a smile on your face. You feel good about it, and that gives you a big boost heading into the off season. So we talk about it every day.